What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Stay in the Fight podcast. Today, I got an extra special episode for all you longtime listeners, you guys who listened to the first episode and heard a little bit about my story and Morse Hall projects and getting started at Bethel. This is a guy that I met there. We were actually kind of, I guess, like bathroom mates. I don't know how you'd call it, but uh, like lived right next to each other, got really close, obviously like still in touch. He's the defensive coordinator at Ottawa University in Kansas, Tom Pearson.
How you guys doing, man? Appreciate it again for having me, big dog.
Absolutely. What's going on, man? How you been?
Man, I can't call it living the Midwest life, So happy wife, happy life. Got my wife out here, kids. They're living it up, loving it. Just got some snow recently, so got a nice little snowman in the backyard.
A
A
little
nice
bit
fun
different than Southern California for sure.
man, just to say the least, it is a little bit different.
But awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you hopping on, and I definitely want to talk to you a little bit about, your story, kind of what got you into coaching. And for the people who don't know, Coach Pearson played at the JUCO level, coached at the JUCO level, played at the NAIA level, coached at the NAIA level. He's very well versed in an option that not a lot of coaches know is a real option and a great way to make a living and stay connected to football. So Coach Pearson, take me back to the beginning. When did you know you wanted to be a football coach?
So it kind of hit me a little later. Initially, after I was done playing, I got a chance to be a student assistant at Ottawa. Played and graduated at Ottawa University, so I got a chance to be a student assistant for the 2009 season. Um, and after that season, I kind of sat down and thought to myself, and I didn't want to coach. I wanted to go into not football coach, but sports performance coach. So I wanted to work with just different athletes and make athletes better athletes, if that makes sense. So I wanted to go that route. I didn't think I wanted to do the X's and O's. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to make athletes better athletes. So I did that for about a year and a half. Then I kind of moved on and kind of got a job at a Gold's Gym. I was selling and doing personal training. And that's when it kind of hit me. So that was about 2011. That's when it hit me. And I was like, you know what? I just missed the itch of football. Like I just needed to get back around the guys, around the gridiron, around the board, the X's and O's, the film, the breakdown, things like that. So it was about 2011. Me and my buddy, who's actually a football coach now, we were both working in the gym, and just thought to myself, and I got to find a way to get back into football. So got a chance to apply. Got the job over at Bethel as a graduate assistant, where we met and kind of blew up from there. So 2011, I would say, was when I was like, you know what, I got to get back into this.
So you actually started coaching without the intention of actually coaching?
Yep. So
Okay.
yeah, 2009, jumped into it, and like I said, after the season was over, I didn't think I wanted to do it anymore. I did a spring with Ottawa. After I was done playing in '08, I did a spring in '09. I did the fall of '09. We went 11-1. We won the conference championship, made it to the playoffs, like all that. We had a great season. But I thought I was done with football. I was thought I wanted to go and do bigger and better things, and the whole time football's been calling me.
So that's kind of how you broke into the profession. Now, recap your career for me. Tell me a little bit about Bethel, and a couple of your other stops.
Gotcha. So Bethel, I was a graduate assistant there for 2 seasons, coaching the inside linebackers. So that was the first stint, 2012, 2013. Got a chance to do that. Loved it. Helped out a little bit with special teams, but mostly focused on backers and defense at that point. Um, had a good year there. One good year, won a conference championship in the Mid South. Then after the 2 seasons there, moved back to California. And that's kind of where I left my graduate assistantship without knowledge of what my next step was. So I graduated in December, not knowing what I was going to do January, knowing I was moving back to California. Started calling junior college coaches that I played for, coaches that I knew, being in the junior college, and ended up getting the job at Orange Coast College by way of San Bernardino Valley College. So went the JUCO route, coached there for 2 years, coaching with the linebackers, strength and conditioning coach, assistant special teams coach. Just kind of did a little bit of everything to try to make myself as marketable as possible. Get guys out there, talking to coaches, emailing coaches, recruiting, getting my guys recruited, but also putting my name out there, hopefully getting myself recruited at the same time. kind of that whole JUCO grind. And then from there, got a phone call from Coach Kessinger, who's the head coach here at Ottawa, who I played for. He's kind of talked to me, told me that he's kind of been following me around, or following my career as I have been going on the last few years. Their defensive coordinator just moved on and got another job, and they had an opening. So he gave me a call, gave me an interview, and ended up coming to Ottawa. And I've been here for the last 5 years now.
Damn, that's awesome, man. I think you hit on a
Yeah.
really good point. And I found it true for myself, coaching at the Division III level, junior college, those places where you have to wear a lot of different hats. One, you're getting immersed into every single part of the recruiting, the development process. Like for a guy like yourself who wanted to get into strength and condo, and then learned that he also wanted to do X's and O's, doing the JUCO route, doing Division III is a great way to be able to scratch all the itches. You know what I mean? And I think that's looking back, I was always very envious. Like, man, I want to be that Division I GA and get that all that experience or whatever. When meanwhile, like, the experience that I had being a position coach, becoming a coordinator really young, and like getting to do as much stuff as I did, I think was, amazing for my career, and has taught me so much more. You know what I mean?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And that's one of the things that I usually tell coaches that are looking to get into a small level or NAIA or junior college football is like, you got to be prepared to, one, run your own room for the most part, because they're going to give young coaches, new coaches, a chance to coach a position and run their room, but you got to be able to wear multiple hats.
Absolutely. So tell me, because I'm always interested here. So you graduated and you started coaching, and you're coaching kids that you played with. Tell me about like that experience. Like, is it difficult to juggle that relationship?
It was at first, to an extent. Now, the guys that I was coaching, I was working with the outside backers at the time. I played linebacker, so it was guys that I was sitting next to in the locker room, hanging out with, all that. The difficult part with telling the All-American linebacker, that we had 2 All-American linebackers on the team at the time, is trying to tell them, no, hey, you're doing this wrong. But I think what helped me is because I wasn't the All-American linebacker playing next to those guys. So what helped me was they knew I was somebody who knew what he was talking about at the time. So when it came to our defense, when it came to our technique, when it came to what we did, they saw me as a player put in the work, whether it was film, whether it was practice, whether it was in a game, whatever it was. They saw me put in the work and understand what the defense was to be able to take criticism and coaching from. So I take my hats off to those guys, because they could have easily turned their nose up and been like, this guy's not a coach, this guy's not this. They were probably older than me at the time. So it was one of those that they could have easily turned me down and ignored me, but they were willing to take coaching. And that's why I think they were the types of players that they were, is because they were willing to take coaching from whoever was looking to give it to them. They just wanted to get better.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's always funny because when I get in conversations with guys that have had that experience, like I've heard some really, really good stories and I've heard some really, really bad stories. So
yeah, man, that pendulum could swing pretty quick.
No doubt, I can imagine. All right, so we know a little bit about your career now. Now tell me the juicy stuff. How much did you make? How much was rent? Like, how did you survive?
Man, so I'm gonna give a shameless plug to my wife, because my wife was a big reason why I was able to do what I did and survive. So everybody knows California is not a cheap place to live, and working as a part-time linebackers coach at the junior college level, Lord knows I wasn't making a lot. So I want to say I had a stipend of $5,000, I think it was. So I was a $5,000 stipend coach. But what my head coach did is, being that I had my master's, he was able to put me into some classes and essentially be the teacher for those classes. So I got a chance to teach a weightlifting class, and I got a chance to teach essentially one of our football classes, a strength and conditioning football class. So that helped me out a little bit. And then we had this study table essentially that he kind of turned into a job. So that was able to give me a couple $1,000s there. So when it was all said and done, I want to say I was making about 15,000. Living in Southern California, that's peanuts, man. So obviously I wasn't able to do it on my own, but got married that year. So 2014 got married. So my wife and I, she kind of held down the house while she was letting me kind of live the dream and kind of make a name for myself and hopefully get something from it, which in turn, I'm not there yet, but I'm definitely working towards that position, I guess you could say. So So yeah, started off $15,000, we'll say, which is, like I said, nothing in Southern California. So wifey held it down and allowed me to kind of make my mark.
No, that's amazing, man. And, you know, as I've had more conversations, it's like you have to have that support system because especially when you start out in football, like you're sacrificing so much of like a normal life and
Yeah, man.
like a normal salary and, you know, things that like everyday people just, you know, take for granted, you know? But all right, so next portion of this, you have any good stories from when you made like little to no money?
Sheesh.
I know
Well,
you got a bunch
listen
of
to the,
Bethel ones.
I was going to say, listening to the podcast about the Morris Hall project, that was my birthday that he was talking about,
Oh, my goodness.
that we kind of spent some money on, but, and then got it confiscated. But um, living in, like I said, living in Southern California, I lived in Temple City. Orange Coast College was in Costa Mesa. So that's about 45, 50 miles um, without traffic, you know what I'm saying? So some days it would take me 2 hours to get to work. I think the longest that it ever took me to get home was 6 hours. I was in the car for 6 hours trying to get from Costa Mesa to Temple City. So I think the worst was just knowing that I didn't have the money to get my car fixed. You know what I'm saying? Like putting that many miles daily, 7 days a week, going back and forth to the office. I remember I'm on the freeway. I'm on the 405, about to get to the 605, and my tire light goes on, bang. So like my tire's going flat as I'm driving. And then just knowing like, where am I gonna turn? Like, obviously I can't just go to my wife to, hey babe, you want to pay for my car? You want to? So it's one of those, it's almost a pride thing to where it's like, okay, I got to figure out how am I going to get this thing fixed. So that is, those types of things are probably the worst that's really happened to me. I've been very fortunate to have that support system. But just knowing like, hey man, we about to go get something to eat. You want to come? Like, no man, I ain't got spending money to go eat out right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? So been fortunate for the DC at the time, or the head coach at the time, to be able to shoot me a couple bucks to buy a Jimmy John's sandwich or something like that. But for the most part, I was eating out of a Walmart bag that I brought my lunch in 7 days a week going into the office. So it's those type of sacrifices that some people take for granted. Being able to go and grab something to eat, or take your car into the shop and get a new tire or something like that. I had to try to figure out with whether it was that green stuff that you put in your tire to kind of fill the hole for a second, or going into auto shop and trying to get it patched and them looking at me like, bro, just get a new tire. Just trying to put some pennies together to make sure I could survive for that next road trip.
Absolutely. And just like the stress of all that, like, man, I still got to get to practice on time and all that. You know what I mean?
Man, being late is the worst. I remember at Bethel being late to my first defensive meeting with Fells, and I think that scared the life out of me.
I can only imagine. But I mean, you got to a good place now, kind of got your first break where, you know, maybe you're not doing exactly what you want, but you're making enough money to support your family, which is awesome. You know, looking back,
Yep.
could you do it all over again to get to, you know, the same spot?
Man, me, yes, because at the end of the day, I love ball, man. Like at the end of the day, the X's and O's, the time spent with the kids, the on the field memories, the playing the games, the game planning, breakdown. Like I love that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Drawing cards on the weekends, getting ready for practice on Monday. Like I like that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I, in a heartbeat, would want to do it again. Now, does that mean I get to go back into my younger body and do it, or do I got to do it at this age? That's the question that I don't know if we want to know, but that's the one where me, absolutely, I love to do it again, and trying to go after that grind. Sometimes I miss it, those early mornings over at Bethel, waking up in Morris Hall, trying to get over to the field, make sure the office is set up, or get ready for a defensive meeting at 4 a.m., followed by a team meeting at 6 a.m., followed by a staff meeting at 8 a.m. Just to do it all over again the next day is a grind that I like. Now would my wife do it? Probably not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the other side of the coin right there. So but me, absolutely, man. I just love ball. I love being around it. I love doing it. And I think I would do it again.
Okay. Even the 6-hour drives?
Man, 6-hour drives, absolutely not. That was the worst day in a long time for me. Trying to get home to crying babies and knowing that I'm just sitting in a car, almost parked on the freeway, not moving, or it kind of opens up and then it just stops again.
Mhm.
No, yeah, I won't do that part. Never mind.
All right. Well, now transition to the future. Kind of tell me
Gotcha.
what's your dream goal, dream gig, and kind of what's your next step to get to that ultimate dream.
Gotcha. So, dream gig for me would be number one, probably be back in California, getting back to Southern California. Um, there's a handful of schools out there, whether it's a JUCO route or a Division I route, since there's no SoCal D2s anymore. So um, I think my dream would be getting back in that area, preferably and then after that, my goal is to be a successful coach. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not necessarily goal driven with where I'm at or um, what level or anything like that. I just want to make sure that wherever I am, that I make that the big time for me, and I find a way to make an impact for people. Because I think at the end of the day, I do love football, and this is a great way for me to kind of do what I feel like I was put here to do, and that's help people. You know what I'm saying? And there's no better way to help somebody through me than through football. Um, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like I've done an okay job with that, and I want to continue to do that wherever I'm at. So dream job is going to be anywhere that I could be successful um, on the field, which in turns to success for these kids off the field, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
obviously financially, you want to be able to take care of the family. You want to make sure the kids are good. You want to make sure wifey's good. But when it comes to dream, all that stuff is taken care of in the dream. I want to make sure that I'm somewhere that could continue to help impact kids. Um, Level doesn't really matter. I'm more of a region person, I guess. But shoot, I've lived everywhere in the country already: the East, the South, the
Mm,
Midwest, West Coast. So I've been across the country already. So I'm just looking to make an impact, man, wherever I go.
that's awesome, man. So kind of pivoting on that, a lot of the guys that listen to this podcast, they're young coaches. Maybe they've heard a little bit about the JUCO route, NAIA. What advice would you have for someone that's going to come up, and maybe they're holding out. They don't want to accept that job because they're waiting for that Division I job or something like that. Do you have any advice for young guy just starting out?
Yeah, man. My big thing would be not to turn down or turn your nose up at anything right now, because sometimes that lower level job or that job that you don't think is a big time might be your stepping stone to get to where you want to get to. So you're not looking to burn any bridges right now. You want to be honest and truthful up front. If that's not what you're looking for, then that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Every coach has heard the word no before. With this recruiting game, you're going to hear no a lot more times than you hear yes, right? So it's one of those where if you're trying to recruit a coach, that's fine. Or if you're trying to get recruited by these coaches, make sure that you're honest and upfront with them, letting them know like, hey, thank you, but no thank you. I ain't looking for that. Or taking that with a thought of, okay, well, this might be a stepping stone for me to get to where I'm looking to get, because you don't know who that coach knows that could hopefully plug you into something else that you might be looking for. You don't know if that coach is on his way to being the next good thing and getting that next big job that hopefully you make a good impression, you could take them with you. So my piece of advice would be willing to not settle, but be willing to accept and move on when it comes to finding something new. So whether it's for you or not, being able to accept it, move on, or be upfront and let these coaches know, like, you know what, no, that's not going to work. I'm not settling for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a little gold nugget right there for sure. That's
Yeah.
basically the end of my questions. Coach Pearson, can you drop your Twitter handle so anybody could reach out to you and connect with you and ask you questions?
Oh yeah. Twitter handle is at coach underscore T Pearson. That's at coach underscore T Pearson. Um, Feel free to reach out. Like I said earlier, I love talking ball. I love jumping on. I'll jump on Zooms and X's and O's and whatever it is, and try to find a way to reach out to coaches, reach out to players. If there's anything I could do to help, like I said, my goal and I feel like my objective is to make sure I help people get from point A to point B, wherever that is. So I want to make sure that I can help however I can. So reach out, say what's up. Let's talk some ball.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. All right. And until next time, this is Stay in the Fight podcast.